Welcome to this edition of Photoshop Basics, and I want to show you a quick demonstration that can turn a photograph into a sketch. And you've probably seen this video. If you haven't already, not on YouTube, there's several videos that demonstrate how to make a image into a sketch. And I want to show you that, but I want to show you a couple other little things that you can do to kind of push the envelope on that, just to get a variety of effects. So you can end up with something other than just like a black and white looking sketch. So this is what we're going to do. Alright, so we have this image here, and I'm going to duplicate the image, and I'm going to make two copies. Actually, I'm going to leave this right now because I'm going to make it into a black and white image, and you can either use the shortcut if you know it. If not, you can go ahead and do image adjustment, and you can do black and white in Photoshop CS3. You have the black and white tool. If not, if you're in a lower version of Photoshop, just use hue and saturation and drop the saturation. I'm going to use this tool. It allows you to control the black and white a little bit, kind of add some depth or take away depth into the foreground, background using the different sliders. I'm just going to change some of the values around here, just kind of seeing where some of my colors are at. Mostly in the background is being affected by this. And I'm going to make the foreground just a little bit darker, the skin tones. I'm going to make the reds a little bit darker because I really want those to stand out. And then the background is a little bit dark too. I don't want that so dark. Like, I'm going to lighten that up just a little bit. Just like that, and go ahead and hit OK. So now that's my image that I'm going to work with. Now, I'm going to duplicate this black and white image, and then I'm going to invert the image. So I'm going to come over here, Image, Adjustments, and Invert, or you can use the shortcut key Control-I, and you're going to get this freaky looking weird picture. And that's fine, because then what we're going to do is we're going to come over here to our blending modes, and we're going to use Color Dodge. And you'll notice, just like if you've seen this video before, like I said, you're going to notice the screen turns white. And that's fine, because we're going to do a blur effect. Now, in some of the other videos you've probably seen the Gaussian blur effect, which gives you something like this, the Gaussian blur. And that's fine, but we're not going to do that. We're going to do undo, or you can do Control-Z on your keyboard. And we're going to actually do blur, and I'm going to do motion blur. I like motion blur. It's a little bit kind of a nicer effect. And I'm going to blur it kind of to the side, and you'll notice you get a slightly different effect when you use the motion blur. You'll get some of the values, but what starts to happen is it kind of blurs some of the areas around as well. The reason I'm doing this, you'll notice maybe in other demonstrations you can get more of the values, but in this case I really don't care, because I'm just trying to get this like kind of slightly blurred effect, almost kind of like sketched effect. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit OK on that. Now, if I undo this, okay, you can see the color picture is still underneath that. That even looks kind of interesting, but what we're trying to do is get a sketch effect. Now, as I mentioned, up until this point, this is about the typical thing that you see on most videos with this effect. However, if you duplicate this layer again, you're going to notice you're going to get white. And we're going to actually change this layer to difference. And wow, look at that. Pretty interesting, right? You get some neat values going on here. And then you have the motion blur effect starting to happen in some of the areas. So you get a really completely different sketch type of effect. Now, if you want to take this even further, one thing that you can do is select your paint tool and add a layer mask to this, which I'm now going to do. And using the layer mask effect, I'm going to increase my brush size and just hitting the brackets key on the keyboard. And we're going to change our opacity down just a little bit and change the flow down just a little bit as well. And we're going to start to paint out some of this stuff. Make sure you have black selected, because the black is what will help mask this out. So switch back over to paintbrush, or additionally you can use the shortcut key, which is B if you like, and I'm going to start to paint some of this stuff, the eyes back in. And I just want to do it very, very subtly, just a little bit at a time. Maybe paint the lips back in just a little bit. Maybe a little bit of the skin tones where it sort of got lost a little bit. Maybe some of the highlights here. Maybe some of the highlights here. Maybe some of the highlights on the face just to kind of soften it back up a little bit. And we want to change the opacity. We really want to get the opacity as low as possible because we're just trying to sort of bring back some of the shades and the values, some of the tones. We're really just looking for tones, just trying to bring it back in. Think of it like as if you're painting. Maybe a little highlight over the eye right there. And then you can go in and pull as well some of those other areas as well. If you want to paint in some of the areas in other parts, the arm here too, just kind of paint some of that back in. And again, this is just really subtle effects. We're just going for little simple light effects. Just kind of trying to bring back a little bit of depth into the picture. Just a little bit of depth, picking up on some of the lighter values that you see here. Just going through here. And then we have the hand right here along the face. We're going to sort of bring that back. Maybe bring the brush size down a little bit, bring in the light. Again, just kind of bringing in some tone, some different areas. Just go through, and play around with it. Like, just paint back in what you feel is necessary. You don't have to kind of go overboard, but just bring back some of the details, and then zoom back out. And so now you have this like a completely different type of sketch effect. It almost has like a little bit of a negative type of feel. You can go through and clean it up. I haven't done the best job in terms of doing some of the lighting, but again, just figure out where your light source is coming from, probably over here, and just kind of highlight some of those areas, and then maybe darken others until you get the right effect. But another thing that's kind of fun to do if you choose to try it out is you can actually adjust the color of this particular layer. So you can go adjustment, hue and saturation, and then go ahead and colorize the effect. And you'll notice you'll get a really interesting thing going on. You can change whatever variation of colors you want. And because the colors are actually a negative, remember we kind of did a negative image on that one, you're going to get kind of like a different effect. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. We have kind of a copper look going on here. And I'll go ahead and zoom out. And you now have a very nice piece of artwork from a photograph, something a little bit different. So hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Give it a shot for yourself, try it out, and we'll talk to you next time.